group.
Okay. I will wait a little bit more than I start, if it is okay. When you are attending all, then I will start, okay? If you are here, if you're listening me.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Do you want me to start now, or shall I have to wait a little bit more for your colleagues?
We should hold on, please.
Yes, okay. Whenever you're ready, please remind me, then I will start.
Good morning, Professor. I'm ready myself. I'm not sure about the others.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we will wait a little bit more, then I will start. This is Jeff, I think.
Yes, it is. No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, how many students we have here? I think there are some students. Do I have to wait a little bit more? Are they going to join, or shall we start? Because I think there are some 40 students registered for this course. Lamin. Okay. I think I will start 9:30. Then you will be. I will open this window at 9 or 9:50. Then you will attend until 9:30. Then we will start 9:30 because you took you need some time. It took time to collect the students, I think. If it is okay.
Myself, it's okay. That's fine. Maybe the others can confirm if that's okay as well.
Okay. Shall I have to start?
I'm not sure. I think we can wait for the others a bit.
I will wait 2 minutes more, then I will start. I think it is enough.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. You are in Cyprus or you are in your country? Are you in Cyprus?
I'm in my country.
You are in your country. Where you are coming from? Where are you from? Where were you home?
I'm from Malawi.
Malawi. Oh, it's good. It's far away.
Thanks as well.
You from?
I'm in my country as well. I'm from Zambia.
Zambia. Ah, it's good. Good communication. And what else? Anybody from Nigeria or Zimbabwe? Because most students coming from Zimbabwe, Ghana, Nigeria. From Malawi, we have less. And from, you said you're coming from?
I'm in Nigeria. I'm in Cyprus right now.
You are in Cyprus?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Do you want me to start now? Or shall we wait a little bit more? Do you have any knowledge about the economics? This is your first year. You are a freshman, I think. And you probably need some more comprehensive explanation for becoming more familiar to the economics, because economics is very, very popular and very good subject for studying. I hope you will all enjoy. Whenever you have question, you will ask me. When you don't, then I will finish my presentation, or I will finish part of my presentation. Then I will let you to ask me some questions, and then we will go on, because we are online and it is sometimes need more continuation for being able to understand this class. There is some mathematical, econometrical applications which is not easy to apply online, but we will try to do as much as possible with assignments, with homeworks together, okay?
Yes, please. Okay.
And the evaluation will be,
Okay.
the evaluation will be 40 or 30% for your midterm exam and 50% for the final, and around 20 to 30%, which is going to be a little bit more higher than 100 for your assignments and homeworks, which is going to support and contribute to you for successfully finishing this class. Okay, let's start the class. If you don't have any question about the course description, course outline, I will start. Do you know the book? The book is I have already uploaded the course description. It is the Monkey's Economics or Microeconomics. There are two books. Any of this can be used, and you can buy or copy or download from internet. Sometimes there is some parts of this book in internet. If it is not available, then you will order it from Amazon. Do you have any question?
Myself, no. I'm ready.
Okay. What kind of, yes, Jeff Kayombo. You have question?
No, I don't have a question. Okay.
Okay. Okay, good. We are, of course, questioning in this class the micro part, because economics is divided into parts, in two sections. One is the microeconomics and the other part is, of course, the macroeconomics. Microeconomics deals with the individuals and firms' activities. We are mostly concentrating to the business economics, and in macroeconomics we are concentrating to the macro level, aggregate level of activities in the economy. And of course it is in the following chapters given to you more comprehensively. It is dealt with the countries' parameters or variables such as employment, GDP, so-called the gross domestic production, GNI, gross national income, terms of trade, export, import. In aggregate level, we are questioning economics, and it is, of course, collected from these individuals and firms' activities, which is creating the, of course, countries' economies. Due to this reason, we are in this class concentrating first the micro part of the economics, and we are trying to understand the micro level activities and micro economical issue in the economy. And of course, before going to this chapter, we have some critical questions for being able to understand the economics. These questions can be such as, what kind of questions does economic addresses, or what are the principles of how people make decisions, or what are the principles of how people interact, what are the principles of how the economy as a whole works, and such on and so on goes. And of course, we are questioning these questions for being able to understand the, of course, firms and the individuals, or so-called the household activities in economics. You know, the economics is, of course, is very important because we are dealing with the scarce resources. In the world, the resources are not endless, are not sufficient, and due to this reason, we have to deal with these scarce resources for being able to use and create productive products and services for the people, for the households who are dealing with the economy. The economy is, of course, the economics is the study of how the society manage these scarce resources, how people decide what to buy, how much to work, save, and spend, and how firm decides how much to produce, how many workers to hire, and so on it goes. Because economics, as I said to you, is mostly dependent to the amount of the activities which we are going to use with these scarce resources for producing some reasonable, productive goods and services to the market. And how society decides how to divide its resources between the national defense, consumer goods, protecting the environment, and other needs are in subject. The principles of how people make decisions, of course, come from this critical point, because it is very important to make the reasonable decisions regarding to these scarce resources. All decisions involve trade-offs. Examples: going to a party the night before your midterm leaves less time for studying. Having more money to buy stuff requires working longer hours, which leaves less time for leisure. And protecting the environment requires resources that could otherwise be used to produce consumer goods. These kind of decisions and this kind of, let's say, issues which is given to you as an sample is of course affecting your life. The society faces an important trade-off between the efficiency and equity or equality. The efficiency is of course when society gets the most from its scarce resources, which is the productivity. Mostly we are always in economy questioning to produce more productive, to become more competitive in the international markets, and equality when prosperity is distributed uniformly among society members. And the trade-off, of course, to achieve greater equality could redistribute income from wealthy to poor, or vice versa, because we are not always distributing the resources from wealthy to poor, but this is sometimes also reason or causing some resource transfer from poor to wealthy because of inflation or because of some other economical parameters. But this reduces the incentive work and shrinks the size of the economies as a pie. And of course, the cost of something is what you give up to get it, is the, of course, somehow creating much problem to the economy, which we are depending to these decisions very, very often in this section and in this microeconomical lectures. Making decisions requires comparing the cost and benefits of all alternative choices. In economics, we are always making this cost-benefit analysis for being able to create more competitive and more productive goods and services, and of course, for increasing our so-called the profit in our businesses or in our sector. As you are understanding, world is not a non-profit organization. It is, of course, profit-oriented planet, and we are always trying to increase our benefits, or let's say profits, and reducing our costs. Therefore, cost and benefit analysis becoming very important, very crucial point and problem in the economy. The opportunity cost, of course, is the most important part of this decision. The opportunity cost is of any item, whether you must going to obtain or you are going to give up for getting some more. It is depending to this opportunity cost, whether you are going to increase this or not doing, because it is very, very important for increasing your profit, or you are going to decreasing your, of course, marginal cost or marginal benefit or productivity in this direction. Therefore, in economics, we are always questioning our decisions regarding to this cost benefit. It is the relevant cost for decision making, and of course, if we are going to give an example for this, the opportunity cost going to a college for a year is not just the tuition, books and fees, but also the foregone wages. Because if you are going to give up for working and going to study, this will become, of course, costly issue or costly application for your life, because you are not going to work and earn some salaries or income, but you are going to pay some fees, some books, some tuitions for increasing your education and your knowledge and your expertise for becoming more competitive in the job market. Seeing a movie is not just the price of the ticket, but the value of the time you spend in the theater. Therefore, is not the ticket, it is the time that you are spending for your leisure time, for your joy time. Therefore, it is depending to your preferences. If you are enjoying this, then this will, of course, benefit it, and it is, of course, good. If it is not, then it is, of course, costly business for you. If you are going to the university and you are not getting your degree, this is, of course, costly and, of course, not good. And if you are going to spend your years and you are getting your degree, this will then, of course, will turn over to you with some more, of course, higher salaries or better job opportunities in future. Therefore, rational people systematically and purposefully do the best they can to achieve their objectives. Make decisions by evaluating costs and benefits for marginal changes, incremental adjustments to an existing plan. For example, when a student considers whether to go to college for an additional year, he compares the fees and foregone wages to the extra income he could earn with the extra year of education. Therefore, it is depending to your decision whether you are going to spend your years for educating yourself or receiving this degree, or you are going to work and collecting some salaries for your living costs or for your years. When a manager considers whether to increase output, she compares the cost of the needed labor and materials to the extra revenue. Because if you are the director in any businesses, you are, of course, responsible for the income and the revenues and the resources of this business. And if you are able to increase and enlarge and, of course, maintain sustainable structure for this business, this will affect and increase your business, and you are going to enlarge and increase your shop or your business positively. If you are not able to determine the cost benefit analysis regarding to this cost benefit analysis, you are not able to develop and, of course, increase your profit, and in the long run probably your startup business will be, of course, not maintained. Therefore, it is important in the economics for being able to make the right decisions regarding to this cost and benefits, whether your opportunity cost and, of course, your profits is contributing and increasing this enlargement. This will then, of course, good for your businesses. Due to this reason, in economics, it is very important to make the reasonable decisions for enlarging and increasing your business for the positive direction. The incentive, something that induces a person to act the prospect of a reward or punishment. Therefore, as I mentioning to you, the marginal cost and the revenue is increased or decreased for the cost is positively affecting your businesses, and vice versa is also realized and affecting your businesses because of your decision. If you are planning to increase every year your employee continuously, but you are not able to enlarge and increase your production and your market capacity, you are not able to, of course, develop your businesses in this direction. Due to this reason, you have to learn to manage your decision-making process in this direction, that you are going to develop and increase and enlarge your businesses, and then you will employ your employees as much as possible regarding to this direction. Of course, these things require some analysis and require some reasonable estimations, which is not easy, because you have to think all parties, the supply side of the economics and the demand side of the economics, the demand capacity, the supply capacity, and your production capacity, your market structure, or your production capacity, your production operation process, whether it is going to be sufficiently affected and enlarged and increased. These things will affect and increase your businesses in positive direction if you are doing all these things in the proper and, of course, in the expected and, of course, reasonable desired direction and, of course, way. Rational people respond to incentives, and for example, when gas price rises, consumers buy more hybrid cars and fewer gasoline for the jeeps. And when cigarette taxes increases, teen smoking is expected to fall. Therefore, sometimes your decisions may not increase your production, but may increase the benefits for the community. Therefore, if you are going to concentrate to the macro level, to the economical aspects from the countries or the nations level activities, the taxes sometimes contributing for reducing the cigarette consumption, which is a bad habit. And of course, this will then, of course, increasing the healthy and, of course, reducing the hospitalization of the people. Therefore, it is important to determine how you are going to manage your economy policy and what you are expecting from this application. When the gas price is increased, consumers, of course, is expected to prefer to buy more hybrid cars, or they may prefer to use some other options such as the solar system and some other applications. Therefore, it is very important to concentrate your decisions regarding to the existing resources and, of course, materials and, of course, the minerals that you have in your country. In this direction, when we are looking to this example, you are selling your Mustang in 1996 and you have already spent $1,000 for the repairs, and at the last minute the transmission dies, you can pay $600 to have it repaired or sell the car as it is. And in each of the following scenario, should you have the transmission repaired, you're going to explain. Blue book value is 6,500 if transmission works, then it is of course 5,700 if it doesn't, and blue book value is 6,000 if its transmission works, then it is of course 5,500 if it doesn't. Therefore, you have these two options for answering this question. Do you want to try this, or shall I have to solve it quickly? So to explain to you, because this is starting simple analyze. You have any question? Do you have any question?
No question from me.
Okay. Okay, for cost of fixing transmission is 600. The blue book value is 650, 6,500 if transmission works, then it is of course 5,700 if it doesn't. And benefit of fixing the transmission is 800, therefore 6,500 minus 5,700, then it gives you 8,800 plus. And it's worthwhile to have the transmission fixed. But blue box value, if it is 6,000, if transmission box is 5,500, if it doesn't, then of course benefit of fixing the transmission is only 500. Therefore, paying 600 to fix transmission is not worthwhile for this example. Therefore, such a simplest example can help you to understand the cost and benefit of this economical issue. You are going to start analyzing economical problems in this direction. The $1,000 you previously spent on repairs is irrelevant. What matters is the cost and benefits of the marginal repairs to the transmission. The change in incentives from scenario A to scenario B caused your decision to change. And of course, the principles of how people interact is of course becoming again in this class important. Rather than being self-sufficient, people can specialize in producing one good or service and exchange it for other goods. Therefore, this better off or trade-off is realized in this direction. Therefore, countries also benefit from trade and specialization, which is very important issue in international economics, because in all countries we don't have this resources. As I said to you, we are dealing with these scarce resources, and regarding to these scarce resources, we are not able to produce everything in our country. And even if we are going to produce it in our country, sometimes it will become more costly to produce in our country than importing it. Therefore, importation and exportation is also very important in these economical issues, especially in micro level, also because in the macro level as well, because you are going to enlarge and increase your benefits regarding to use these trade relations between the countries. Because if beans in your country is $3 per kilo and in Mexico it is only 30 cents, then you have to prefer to import it from Mexico or Brazil, coffee bean or just bean. This will then becomes more cheaper than producing in your country, and sometimes you are not able to produce it in your country, and then you have to import it, or the gas or petroleum or some other natural gas which we don't have in our country, we are always importing it. Therefore, sometimes importation is also necessary stuff, and sometimes exportation is also necessary because you are having it in your country abundantly. Therefore, in economics, we are doing such businesses for enlarging our hands and enlarging our markets to the other nations, for maintaining our production operation process if we have abundant factors in our country sufficiently, and if we don't have it in our country, then we have to import it because sometimes it is cheaper in other nations, in other countries. Therefore, in economics, we have to concentrate these issues for being able to create more welfare to the country, because economics is not only producer side or the supply side, but we are also concentrating to the to the consumer side, to the households. They are going to hold their factors of production in their hands, and they are also responsible for the welfare. They are also dependent to this production operation process. If it is expensive, this will then increase and of course enlarge the cost of this production, and of course reduce the welfare of the consumers. Due to this reason, we have to manage these things carefully for enlarging and increasing the country's welfare, and of course the country's let's say GDP and GNI, gross national income, or gross production, gross domestic production, or gross internal production, for being able to become more wealthy. You have question? For getting a better price abroad for goods they produce, buy other goods more cheaply from abroad than could be produced at home. As I mentioned to you, if it is cheap in your country, you will produce it in your country and export it. If it is expensive in your country, then you have to prefer other destinations for importing these goods to your country for enlarging and of course increasing consumption capacity and of course selling capacity in the other destinations for your produce goods and services in your internal markets or in your domestic markets. Therefore, the government policy is always concentrating to enlarge and increase the factors of production which is abundantly realized in these in domestic markets for supporting and of course subsidizing it for maintenance of this production operation process, because we are not always wishing to become more dependent to the other nations, but we are also trying to become more independent by enlarging and increasing our economical activities and economical capacity by using these abundant factors and abundant production in our countries. Due to this reason, we have to concentrate our cost and benefit analysis on this regard. The market is a group of buyers and sellers. Buyers here is the consumers and sellers here is the suppliers. Need not be in a single location. Organized economic activity means determining what goods to produce, how to produce, how much of each to produce, and who gets them. Once again, we have to analyze every question. What goods to produce or what goods to produce is dependent to these factors of abundance or abundance of the factors in your country. If you have sufficient factors of production, let's say in Nigeria you have coffee beans, banana, petroleum, gas, these things may be produced abundantly and export to the other nations, and this then of course is the reason for becoming exportable goods or becoming the producer of goods in these items in your country. And how to produce of course is dependent to increase the productivity per hour, how many units you are going to produce, or per worker in an hour how much unit is going to produce is very important, because it is affecting and increasing the productivity. And who going to buy this or whom you going to sell it? This is then important. Either you are going to direct this to your country or you are going to direct these goods to the other destinations. In our countries, you may produce some. In our countries, we have citrus fruits sufficiently, which is not consumed in domestic market, the whole, because it is produced abundantly and it can be exported to the other destinations, to the other markets. Therefore, we are the exporter of these citrus fruits in our country, or olive oil or olive or such fruits we are producing, or oil we are producing in our country abundantly, and we are exporting it to the other destinations, which is not sufficiently observed. But we are importing oil, gas, we are exporting coffee beans, we are exporting some other coffee beans and other cereal products which we produce also, but not sufficiently. Therefore, it is depending, or textile or cotton, then this is then of course becoming important, what you produce and how you are going to sell it or market it, and what you are going to export it and how you are going to distribute it. And on the other side, what you need in your country and how much you're going to import, whether you are going to balance it with this trade or balance of payment is going to be equalized or not is also important, because if you are producing sufficient but you are importing much, you are paying much money to the other nations, but you are not getting sufficient income or resources or capital from the other countries as in foreign currencies, your market is of course stagnating and creating some problems to you, because your resources will become reduced. Therefore, you have to balance these payments sufficiently for being able to reduce this deficit or current account deficit in your country, because most of the current account deficit comes from this export and import imbalance, or so-called, if your import is always positive and your export is always in negative, you are exercising some current account deficit. Of course, the monetary transactions, other activities also affecting all the third parties or the other countries' monetary transactions and financial directions, FDI, FPI, investment, foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investments, all these things affecting this deficit or current account, and of course resource management in your country. Therefore, you have to manage this carefully for being able to manage your economy and create a sustainable economical model for your country. The market economy, as you are understanding, we are talking about the liberal economical approach, where it is allowed the entrepreneur to decide what to do in the market without any intervention. Of course, some interventions is, of course, realized, but this market liberal economical approach, letting the people exporting, importing, and having communications and trade relations and other economical activities in this liberal economical aspect, and the market economy allocates resources through decentralized decisions of many households and firms as they interact in the markets. Of course, as I said to you, in the market we have two important parties. One is the producer, so-called supplier, and the other one is the consumer, and so-called the household, who hold the factors of production in their hands. These things we will see in the following chapters with comprehensive aspects: factors of production, land, labor, capital. We will see in the following chapters, but as a knowledge we have to mention shortly. And these two groups, the suppliers and the demanders, so-called the consumers and the producers, are the two important parts of this market, and they are creating this market for the factors of production and for the produced goods and services, which we are going to exercise in the next hour with a diagram to see how it is working and how we are realizing this market in the economy. The famous insight by the Adam Smith. Adam Smith, as you know, is the most important contributor to the economics, which is the writer of the Wealth of Nations in 1776, and it is very important contributor to the classical economical approach. And then, of course, we have then neoclassical economies, and then we have some Keynesian applications, which is very important contributors to the economy. But the Keynesian economics is, of course, very huge and very expanded and enlarged aspect, and classical economic aspect with Adam Smith, Ricardo, and some others affecting and changing the economy from the supply side. Therefore, we have to concentrate first the classical economical approach, and then we will develop our economical knowledge towards to the neoclassical and Keynesian economical models. Each of these households and firms act as if led by an invisible hand to promote general economical well-being. Invisible hand here is very popular, let's say, expression from Adam Smith, and it is, of course, mentioning the price policy or the pricing in the market, which is not exactly determined by the supplier or the demander. Together with the amount of the produced goods and services, it is directed to the market, and they are estimating some prices, they are determining some prices regarding to this production operation process and the pricing, which is going to be the threshold price or the market price. And then after the consumer respond or reactions realize, this invisible hand is performing and creating the market price regarding to this supply and demand capacity. To promote the general economic well-being is of course dependent to this invisible hand. The invisible hand works through the price system, as I mentioned to you, the interaction of buyers and sellers determining the prices. Because as I said to you, as a producer, as a supplier, we are able to estimate the cost of any X product and directing it to the market, and we are expecting to sell it with a reasonable price. But if nobody prefers to buy it, if it is expensive, then you have to reduce its price. If you are not able to reduce it, it will going to be not bought from the consumers. Therefore, you have to offer a reasonable price to the market and expect that the producers and consumer price will become to the equilibrium in a desired level. If you don't do this, then this invisible hand will start to work and create the market structure as much as possible, response of the consumers and of course reactions of the sellers. Each price reflects the goods value to buyers and the cost of producing the good. The price guide self-interesting households and firms to make decisions that in many cases maximize society's economic well-being. Therefore, it is very important for being able to manage these activities in this direction. Of course, the principles here, the governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. Here, I have also, there are principles there. I didn't mention it, but you are seeing probably. We are in the 7th principle, governments. Of course, in classical economical approach, the government's intervention is not desired, but some little reactions and of course interventions observed. Important role for the government for enforcement property rights, with policies and courts, and these of course becoming very eligible if people are less inclined to work, produce, invent, inventory or purchase. If large risk of their property being stolen, then of course the government must do something for responding to these reactions. If the market failure is observed, and when the market fails to allocate society's resources efficiently, then is of course there is a problem in the market. Then of course the externalities when the production or consumption of goods affects bystanders or pollution, so-called, if the X producer creates some products but damaging the environment and creating some pollution, and its cost and benefits is of course negative cost and less benefit, then this is problem. If the cost is too much, then its benefits as a let's say nations level activity, if you are thinking its production and of course contribution to the economy, but it's pollution. If you produce something and creating a very dirty air or pollute the seas or causing some pollution to the environment, and it needs more cost, it needs more money to clean this or remove this pollution from the sea or from other areas, then it's of course must be think twice, because it is of course sometimes not good to produce this if it is creating more or damaging more to your economy or your circumstance or your neighbors. And then of course it is such as nuclear centrals that is creating in the economy and sometimes creating more pollution to the economy. It must be thought twice, and of course must be replaced with solar system or some other hydraulic systems instead of nuclear electricity or centrals, which is causing more pollution than the other solar or hydraulic centrals or systems. Therefore, such economical applications must be carefully treated regarding to the observation and, of course, control and inspection of the governments. The market power, a singular buyer and sellers, has substantial influence on prices, which is the monopoly. And monopoly market is, of course, very important, such as smoking cigarettes is dependent sometimes to the one singular producer, and of course the sector dependent one producer, because it is in the monopoly market and the sellers determining its prices. Sometimes government intervention or government becomes the producer in this direction, or sugar or such products, which is going to be affecting and changing the economy heavily, or oil or some others, or some other watering or some other producing and consuming, which is becoming critical important into the economy, then it must be carefully treated with such monopoly or oligopoly structures. In such cases, public policy may promote efficiency. As I mentioned, it depends what sector and what market and what good you are going to do in this sector. And government may alter market outcomes to promote equity. If the market's distribution of economy well-being is not desirable, tax or welfare policies can change how the economy pie is divided, then it must be questioned. And of course, as a discussion question, in each of the following situations, what is the government's role? Does the government's intervention improve the outcome or not, is going to be asked. Public schools for the kindergarten is 12 years as popular. You know, everybody goes for 12 years, mostly in most countries, and workplace safety regulation is required. And public highways and patent law, which allow drug companies to charge high prices for life-saving drugs. Therefore, these are the important issues for the economies, which is going to be questioned and, of course, must be regulated under the law and policies of the governments. These questions can be done after the class. You can think about it and make some contribution to me as let's say first class homework, and then you are sending to my email address, because this is not the economical example and economical issue, but letting you to think about the role of the government in the economy in this direction, whether better off or not. You are going to determine each of these cases, because workplace safety regulation is, of course, dependent to the unions. As you know, the worker unions doing too much things, or the public schools, because every child must go to the school at least 9 or 12 years, which is kindergarten, is starting from the prep class, from the primary class, and goes to the college level, isn't it? Therefore, this 12 years is must classes, and it must be, of course, regulated by the government, and every child must go to the school for this period of time for becoming sufficient, of course, education. And public highways is also very important, and it must be supported and regulated by the government laws and government policies, and patent laws, which is also important and dependent to the governments and dependent to the nation's activities, which allow drug companies to charge high prices for life-saving drugs. This is also very important, because in the hospital that you are using medicine sometimes comes from these parties, and it must be taken under control, such as vaccine. As you know, we are in the pandemic period, and if the vaccine is necessary for protecting the population's health, then you have to supply and buy or import or whatever it is to your country for offering your citizens these kind of vaccines for protecting them from this kind of pandemics or illness. Okay, now let's go to the principle 8. The country's, of course, living standards depends its ability to produce goods and services, because as much as you are enlarging and increasing your production capacity and your produce goods and services is increasing, this will then promote your economy as much as possible in positive direction, because GDP, or gross domestic production, which is the amount of goods and services produced in a year, is affecting your economy heavily. Therefore, country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. Of course, if you are able to maintain such activities in a reasonable way for increasing and enlarging your economical activities in this direction, because GDP is the GNI, gross national income, and increasing your resources. And as much as you are increasing your capacity and you produce goods and services, this will then enlarge your economical, of course, capacity from the producer side, and this will then, of course, increasing the welfare of the nation, which is the means. As much as the resources and capital increase, or the amount of the money circulated in the economy, this will then create more market, and this will then create more prosperity and welfare and more living standards for the people. Of course, living standards is not only dependent to this money, but is also affecting and heavily changing the welfare of the nation. If you have much money and if you have sufficient income, you will buy higher standard living, such as villa, good cars, Mercedes, BMW. You buy good goods, I mean better quality goods and services for yourself. You get better health care. You send your children better school or private schools. These things will increase and enlarge your capacity and your comfortable living standards, and of course welfare of the nation will increase. Of course, infrastructure, everything is also subject and affected from this kind of activities, and this is the reason for being able to concentrate this GDP and GNI a little bit more for producing sufficient goods and services for enlarging and increasing the welfare. Because if you are able to do this, then you will enlarge and increase your capacity, your welfare. If you enlarge your relations to the other nations for exporting and increasing your production capacity, because as much as you are enlarging and increasing your size of the economy, your capital and your resources will become more, your foreign currencies and of course resources will enlarge, and your capacity and your economical activities will become more, and this will then return to you as higher living standards. The huge variation in living standards across countries and over time, average income in rich countries is more than 10 times average income in poor countries. As you are understanding, if you are concentrating to the one person per capita per income, if it is 10 times higher than in poor countries, in rich countries than for poor countries, then this is of course problem, because the per capita per income per person should be enlarged and distributed equally, and this will then of course affect and change the welfare and of course living standards in the nations. In most of the economies, such as in Saudi Arabia and some other, Kuwait and some other emerging economies, so-called the developing economies, are not sufficiently distributed. Maybe their GDP is high, but per capita per income distribution of the income or national income is not sufficiently realized as in China. And the of course poverty and of course poor people's amount of the poor peoples in these countries are unfortunately more than Germany, more than United States, more than UK and some other, France and Canada, Libya. sorry, Italy. This is then the reason because distribution of the capital or per capita per income per person is unfortunately not well realized and of course divided. This equality is not realized as in Saudi Arabia. As I said to you, the prince and the king in Saudi Arabia collects most of the capital in the country because of oil, but the people poverty is very, very high. As in China also, there is, or in India, there is sufficient capital, probably the second best economy in the world, but the distribution of the capital unfortunately not well realized because most of the people are working for $100 per month, and this is done of course, or $200, and this is then of course reason of this made in China issue, because most of the franchising companies and multinational companies currently located and situated in China and producing there, because China is a big and huge market, most important market, and of course and cheapest labor market either. Therefore, these kind of issues must be carefully treated in the economy for being able to become more competitive in the economy. The United States standards of living today is about 8 times larger than 100 years ago. This means people there is getting 8 times larger than 8 times higher living standards or larger living standards than 100 years ago, which is important. This is of course a good example to show and explain how the living standard should be developed. It should be enlarged and increased regarding to this explanation which I have already done to you. The most important determinants of living standards is of course dependent to this productivity also, because countries' production capacity or GDP also becoming very important with the productivity. As much as your country's productivity is increasing, the amount of the goods and services which is going to be increased and enlarged per unit of labor, this will then increase and enlarge the capacity and of course welfare in these nations. As in Germany observed, most of the people's per hour paid per working hour paid wages or salary is around 10, let's say 6, sometimes minimum 8 to 15 to 20, sometimes 30. This is then highest probably the payments comparing to the other nations, which is in China, in other poorer or emerging economies, it is very poor. As I said to you, they are getting $100 or $200 per month without concentrating to the per hour, per unit, per hour paid laborer or employee. But in the Germany, it is dependent to these hours, and it is getting better off and increase their salaries, their incomes regarding to these payments, and they are getting 100, let's say 1,500 or 2,000 euro or euro per month regarding to their performance and productivity. And the productivity depends on the equipment, skills, and technology available to workers. As I said to you, if you are high quality and high qualified worker, then you will get paid better. Using, for example, laptop or computer machineries, or being able to work together with this technology, this will then increase and enlarge your capacity and payment regarding to use know-how. the technology available to workers affecting, of course, and increasing and sometimes decreasing. It depends how it is affecting and increasing and how it is affecting and decreasing your economical activities. Because as you know, in the automobile or the car industry, most of the workers are artificial intelligences, which is not the robotic technology, which is not the workers, which is not the corporate, which is not the employees. They are the artificial robotic technologies. They are doing most of the working and of course equipments in these technologies, in these factories, in these industries. Therefore, it depends. Sometimes it is reducing the amount of the workers and of course causing some unemployment, and it's sometimes increasing because this artificial intelligence can be combined with the employee, and you can work together with this artificial combination and develop this performance and productivity to the higher level, and this will then increase the per capita, per person, per unit in the economy. Therefore, if you are increasing and producing 1,000 units per hour in Germany, and in similar manner you are producing 10 units in China, this is problem, or in India or in Turkey. Therefore, you have to learn to manage and increase this productivity as much as possible for becoming more competitive in international markets. Because if you produce much in an hour, the same unit or the same product, this will then enlarge and increase your capacity, and of course decreasing the cost of this production, and you will then able to become more competitive and of course more challenging power in international markets. The other factors which is affecting, as I said, to the labor unions, competition from abroad, have far less impact on living standards, is the, of course, other issues that we are going to exercise in this, let's say, class. Of course, labor unions is affecting too much this employee capacity, performance, sometimes the wages, the conditions, many things is affected. The competition from abroad, everything are becoming more familiar to you. By time when we are going to deal with these economical issues, then you will be able to understand how the economy affect and change our living standards or welfare. And the ninth principle is the prices rise when the government prints too much money. Of course, in economy, price or the currency is very important, because your currency is becoming the most important part of the economy, because currency or the amount of the currency is affecting the prices. And when the price goes up, when the general price level is up, it is causing the inflation. And when the inflation created in the economy, sometimes it is in the short run positively affecting and increasing your economical activities and reducing this unemployment, of course, for the short period of time. But as I said to you, in general, it is negatively affecting the economy, because in the long run, rise of the price is affected from the currency amount, from the amount of the money which is printed or created with this monetary easing or quantitative easing by doing some financial activities or banking sector or the central bank activities, such as increasing the interest rate or distributing some other paper market issues, will affect and change. These things we will see in macroeconomics, but I will give you some short explanation in these chapters, in these microeconomical classes, either for being able to understand what are these and how this affecting the businesses in the economy. And as I said, the inflation is the increase in the general price in the economy, which is heavily affecting the price and of course the economy. And if it is the reason, or it comes from the government prints of much money, This is then of course problem, which is the really realized activities, not anymore realized and printed anymore currently for affecting and changing the economy, because printing money is a very big problem to the economy. Therefore, this enlargement, expansion of this currency is mostly comes from the banking sector, from the financial system activities. As you are knowing, regularly central banks issue reports and declaring whether it is going to be the interest rate, the nominal interest rate or political interest rate is going to be increased or decreased. Because of this increase and decrease, most of the currencies affected from the market, because if the interest rate goes up, this will then of course reducing the amount of the money in the circulation, and if it is going down, this will then of course enlarging the market in the system. And if it is enlarged in the system, if the currency enlarged in the system, the price supposed to be going up, and this is not good. This is inflation, and when the inflation goes up, this will affect again the interest rate, and interest rate, when the interest rate goes up, the investment, saving, everything will be affected. Maybe saving account a little bit promoted, but investment amount will be negatively affected, because borrowing for investment is becoming expensive. This kind of activities will be heavily affected, and balance of payment, everything, export, import, will be affected with this price increase, because rising the price is also means reducing the value of the depreciation. It will cause depreciation to the money. Therefore, this is not good for the economy. And in the long run, inflation is almost always caused by excessive growth in the quantity of money, which causes the value of money to fall. As I mentioned to you, it is depreciation, and quantity of money which is enlarged in the market is not good again. And the faster the government creates money, the greater the inflation rate is expected. Therefore, these things must be carefully written with the experts, such as we are doing in the universities. It should be followed up with the experts, with professors, with experts in the banking sectors who are knowing these things very well. Otherwise, with the politicians, such issues for intervention of the political, which is most of the governments, and of course prime minister or premier minister or presidents deal with these things, or the ministers always dealing with these things without hesitating and questioning the policies, and this will then negatively sometimes or mostly affecting the economies, and of course creating problem and reducing the capacity of the economy. And this 10th principle here, the society faces a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment, which is also important. As I said to you, as much as you are increasing the inflation or increasing the prices, this is sometimes causing inflation, and when the inflation in the short run concentrated will cause some reduction on the unemployment, because it will create this is of course somehow resource transfer from consumers to producers, because when the inflation is in the market, it will cause some resource transfer from consumers to the producers, because it will increase the prices, and when the prices goes up, the producer will get more money, will get more resources, but on the other side, consumers' consumption capacity will decrease, and they have to buy more dollar or buy more Turkish lira or naira to buy some goods and services. Therefore, inflation is not good for the consumers, but it's good for the producers, because it is increasing the capacity for the producers for collecting more resources, more capital for circulating their economical activities. But as I said to you, this is sometimes good. It is creating better trade-off between inflation and unemployment, but it is sometimes in the long run causing more problems and creating more difficulties to the economy. Therefore, other factors can make this trade-off more or less favorable, but the trade-off is always present, as I said to you. Okay, this is then of course for you book that I don't deal with this. I have already finished this chapter. If you have any question, you will ask me. If you don't have any question, I will finish this class. I don't do any break. I go always through. I am always usually doing 1.5 an hour, let's say 90 minutes classes, and then finish it. And I will upload regularly. Sometimes some weeks I don't, but mostly I upload some classes, examples, assignments, or homeworks to you to do for your exams, for your contributions. If you have any question, you will ask me. If you don't have any question, I will finish this class for the next Friday. Do you have any question?
Hello.
Yes, please. Do you have any question?
For the homework, what format do you want it in?
It doesn't matter. You can use any format. You can use in Word or you can use in other formats. It depends how you are going. You can write with your hands and take the picture and upload it to the Word format, but you have to upload to the system, and you can send me also as email address. You have my email probably. I can give you my email and you can send it to this email address, because the university's email address sometimes is not working very well. I can write it here, my email. Do you want me to write the email address, I think? Then
Yes, please.
Then you can read this parts, because this is not very important. We did it already. I don't want to summarize this because we have already done. Let me finish, then I will put my email address to you. These things you can refresh, because I have uploaded this PowerPoint to the system. Did you get it? There is in the system this PowerPoints. If you don't, I will.
I have a question, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, my question is on principle number 9, which says prices rise when the government prints too much money.
Yes.
So my question is, how does it work? Because I think when there's too much money in the circulation,
yes,
could this cause less demand and less supply, which maybe could drop the prices and not increase the prices?
Well, of course, it is a circulation. You are right. When the price goes up, it is inflation, isn't it? And when the inflation is in the market, it means you have less money, you have the same money, but you have less capacity, purchasing power capacity. Purchasing power is going to be decreased, isn't it? And you are going to reduce your capacity, or you're going to replace with the other products. But in any cases, you have to maintain your existence and you have to buy some goods and services. Therefore, what you are going to buy or what you are going to consume is not important, but in the main issue, your purchasing power is decreasing when the price goes up. You may replace it, you may substitute it with the other products, or you may reduce, as you said, your purchasing power is going to be reduced, and you reduce your consumption either. But this is, of course, very dangerous. When the price goes up, this is, of course, poverty. This is welfare loss for the consumers. And when the consumers' purchasing power is decreasing, then, of course, producer will not anymore produce, will not develop their production operation process, or they will direct their production to the other destinations, to exportable goods, to the exporting to the other nations or destinations if it is possible, or if it is not, if they want to prevent and protect this market, they have to reduce the prices, or they will get at the end of the day some other substitution, or they will reduce the quality. They will do something for enlarging the market, either playing with the product capacity, quality, amount. As you see, you buy 500 gram something. If the price goes up, they may prefer to reduce it 450 gram. and not increasing the price. You understand? This is something happens. Or for the bread always, it was 400 grams, then it is reduced to 350, then 300, then 250. It is reducing their gram, or they may play with the quality or some other ingredients for being able to maintain this market structure. Therefore, in any cases, inflation is not good. It is not good for the economy as a whole, because in the long run, they may enlarge some unemployment. They may reduce some people. They may enlarge the employment capacity. They may offer some capacity increase for the businesses, but usually this is resource transfer from consumers to the producers, and it's not good because this is welfare loss. Is that right? Is it clear for you?
Yes, it's clear. It's very clear. Thank you.
Okay. As I said to you, I am trying to write my email, but I couldn't. I have to write to the PowerPoints. If you wait, or this month, I will not give you any assignment, anything. But the next this week, I don't give you this because we are introducing the first class. This is our first class. You just read this. I don't give you any assignment or homework, but next class I will give you assignment, and of course will give you the email. I can give you my mobile, then you can create WhatsApp group if you want, and communicate with me from this group either if you have any question or any other issue regarding to your course. Is that all right? Is that fine for you?
Yes, it's
okay?
all right.
Okay, then wish you happy weekend and enjoy your life. Your country probably is nice currently. Is hot, I think, isn't it? Or is cold?
It's currently hot in my.
Hot. Okay. Okay, then see you then next week on Friday. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I appreciate for your attendance.